And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on 12 Ounce Sports and, of course, the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Happy Wednesday, April the 17th, 2024. Hope everybody's had a good week so far. I know I have, and it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. We get a very special guest coming up here in a couple of moments. Jimmy the Greek, Jimmy Young from Mix 93.5 MKJ, up in Houghton, Michigan, is going to join us. We're going to talk Frozen Four, NHL, everything going on in the world of sports. Can't wait to talk to Jimmy here in a few minutes. Want to let you know that you can follow us on all of our social media platforms. That, of course, is Twitch, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, follow us on the Captain Lou Extravaganza and 12 Ounce Sports. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, 12 Ounce Sports, and the Captain Lou Sports Network. We're everywhere. We're on Instagram. You name it, we're there. And we're brought to you tonight, as always, by tickets.12ouncesports.com. The Stanley Cup Playoffs are just around the corner, starting this weekend, and you can get tickets if you want to go to the opening games. We've got some amazing matchups in the opening round. We're going to talk about those tonight. And your place to go for those tickets is tickets.12ouncesports.com. And also, if you want to go to the NBA playoffs this weekend, whatever, Major League Baseball, the US or the UFL, whatever, it's tickets.12ouncesports.com. And of course, we're brought to you, as always, by one of our longtime sponsors of the Captain Lou Extravaganza, Javi Coffee. Let me tell you a little bit about Javi Coffee. Make the switch to instant coffee. If you like coffee, try it out, javicoffee.com. It's very simple to use. A couple of teaspoons or a tablespoon. If you like it iced or if you like it hot like me, make sure you try javicoffee.com. But they've got all different flavors, regular decaf, Irish cream, salted caramel, French vanilla. That's the one that's my go-to. That's javicoffee.com. And when you go there, make sure you use the promo code Captain Lou, all one word, at checkout, and you'll get 15% off of your purchase. That is javicoffee.com. All right, a lot to talk about here tonight. Jimmy's going to join us here in a little bit. We mentioned it. The Stanley Cup playoffs are just about set. There's just a couple of positions as far as in the Western Conference that need to be decided. But the Red Wings, wow. I'll tell you what, they lived on the edge for a couple of nights in those back-to-backs against Montreal, scoring, with 25 seconds left on Monday night to send it to overtime. And then last night, getting a break on the icing call with a face-off with 7.5 seconds, and then Perron making that slap shot to send it into overtime. All for naught, though, as Washington was able to get one past Philadelphia in the third period to win 2-1. They clinched the final spot. So the Red Wings, a heck of a try, heck of an effort this last weekend, winning the 3 games that they had to win, but unfortunately couldn't beat Washington last week, and they couldn't overcome that slide they had in March where they went on a 7-game tailspin. Couldn't do it, and ended up losing out on the playoffs by just 2 points. Actually, they were tied with Washington, but losing that crazy tiebreaker. Regulation wins. They had more wins overall in the regular season, but regulation wins in the way it's kind of set up here with the goofy way they do the points. You get a point even if you get into overtime. Just, I don't know if I'm 100% sold on that, but no sour grapes. Washington gets in. They get to take on the Rangers in the opening round. Like I said, some amazing matchups in the opening round of the playoffs with the Red Wings and or with the Rangers and whatnot. So without any further ado, though, let's go to our guest line, and let's bring in one of the wise ones when it comes to hockey and you name it, everything else in the world. Great friend of the show from up in God's country, up in Houghton, Michigan, Jimmy Young the Greek. Jimmy, thanks for taking time out tonight. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad, Lou. Thanks for having me on. I always enjoy talking to you. And so what's new down in the Captain's Gallery tonight?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going into tonight about 5 o'clock, Jimmy. I was going to lead off talking about the Red Wings. We'll talk about them and, the hockey and the Frozen Four. But I got to tell you, and I know this will probably touch a nerve, but it came down that There's no loyalty left in college athletics now. You can transfer as many times as you want, according to the NCAA. And I'll tell you, you talk about the wild, wild west. We've mentioned it on your show a couple of times, but boy, I'll tell you what, it is going to get absolutely crazy in the world of college athletics.
Now, I gotta admit, was this something that was expected, or I'm kind of waver between this, and I don't. In my opinion, on this whole transfer portal, for years people would complain about. Just say me and you were out downtown. We couldn't buy one of our local college athletes a can of pop.
Right.
And we were the first kind of, well, this is ridiculous. Something got to change. And la-di-da-di-da. Now, the change is made. Now, people don't like the change. But I never seen the NCAA trumpet this and make it, this is beyond the wild, wild west. This is Gunsmoke now.
Oh, my gosh, for sure. And, we've talked about it. Coaches have had, contracts for coaches is a joke. That's an oxymoron, to say the least. I mean, they can get out of those contracts. There's buyouts, whatever you want, so they can leave. And I get it, Jim, that if you're recruited by a coach, I don't know, Coach Joe Smith, and he goes from Michigan State to wherever. So, okay, I get it. The player may not want to play for the new guy coming in. All right, fine. But, we've talked about this. Let's say that, I'm going to use the guy that just transferred to UConn from Michigan. I mean, Mans or whatever his name is. He gets upset because he doesn't play what he thinks is the same amount of time. He can just up and say, all right, I'm going. And there's nothing holding him back. I just don't get it.
Now, again, I just read that. Now, can they do this right in the middle of the season too, Lou?
Well, they can't.
I'm guessing the season got to be done. Then they can just see you later, basically.
Yeah, they can't transfer and play for another team in the same season. So it's like, they have to wait, but they can transfer 4 times if they want. And it's like these kids that have their dads talking in their heads, and they transfer to 3 different high schools in 3 years. That's what this is turning into.
And how much of this is going to affect, like, the coaches, the old school coaches who will go in your house and recruit you?
Yeah,
that's almost by the wayside. And you think of college sports will last probably 3-4 years. Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Jay Wright.
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on with these coaches who just said, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And I mean, it's a freaking carnival. I hate to say it, it really is. And a coach that's near and dear to both of our hearts, Tom Izzo. He's Uper, born and raised. Right.
You got to wonder, Jim, how much longer is he going to take, want to put up with this stuff? He just seems, he's old school, I mean, he's trying. I know he wants to win that title so bad, and who doesn't? But my gosh, I mean, now you go into somebody's home, the first thing out of their mouth now is, how much are you going to pay me?
Well, and especially with Izzo, I think if he wins another title, he's done. Because I don't know. And like you say, he's the blue collar. He's probably one of the only blue collar guys left in college basketball.
Yeah.
But I mean, it comes down to the almighty dollar. And my biggest passion is hockey. This is, and everyone was waiting for this to hit college hockey. It hit football, then basketball. Now it's kind of hit college hockey in a big time way, and it's really put the little guy in a corner. And I think the days of a 16 beating a 1 in college hockey are long gone.
Yeah.
Probably the 12 beating a 6 in college hockey is long gone. But now you're talking so much money, and these universities are just going after the championships, which is, I get it. You play to win.
Yeah.
But how many of these athletes are being hypnotized, just with the dollar sign? And I mean, it's sad. I get the transfer portal. I was one that was totally against. We couldn't do anything for these athletes, these universities making so much money on them. But I guess what I'm trying to say, they missed a happy medium here, Captain. They really did. But I don't know if there's a happy medium out there.
I don't really think there is, and it makes me think that now, we'll take hockey for example. It's the sport where you've got smaller schools in D1 like Michigan Tech and Northern and Lake Superior and Ferris, and you're going to have to catch lightning in a bottle to win it all in 1 year, because these kids are going to get gobbled up by Michigan State and Wisconsin and Michigan. And, they're going to offer money that, some of these car dealerships up in Negaunee and Marquette and Houghton aren't going to be able to offer some of them that can offer down here, and I'm just using car dealerships as an example, but you know what I mean? I mean, these kids are going to be one and done now. If they have any kind of a good year, they're going to see the dollar signs and the big cities and the big lights.
And I think something that everyone's overlooking, the high-end players are going to go. Okay?
Yeah.
But you think of the mid-tier and lower-end players, how all these teams getting the higher-end players are looking for role players, and they might go. I mean, just say I'm going to take a heavyweight here. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go all these. Just say Boston College. Hey, we need a third-line grinder.
Yeah.
There's a couple good grinders up north. And they're probably not getting any money.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting probably the easiest academic schedule in the world. Or I might go here just to have a chance to win a national title. So I think that's going to be the next debate in this story, probably about a year down the road. And I don't think no one's even looking at that. Your high ends are going, okay? They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
But now you're looking at let's go after the role player. I mean, we're 2 or 3 short from our second or third line center. 2 or 3 short from that second backup offensive lineman. We might need one more point guard as a complementary piece. How many of these guys are going to go for next to nothing or probably nothing with the easy academic schedule, just have the chance to win a title on a perennial power?
Well, what made me laugh about this last thing on this transfer eligibility thing, it says that they have to meet academic progress towards a degree and they have to meet the minimum standards. Oh my, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This, all I could think of is, oh gosh, the kid that went to Michigan State that played for 18 years, in the NBA. Yeah. Okay. He went to class. I mean, he's a good kid, but we all know, I mean, okay, they show up once or twice and they're going to transfer 4 times. And again, it's laughable, but there isn't anything we can do. And, it's like you said, they're going to have to create a different division for hockey for the smaller schools. And unfortunately, I think the days of Northern or Michigan Tech really legitimately having a shot to win one, the whole thing is probably gone.
And the sad part, talking with a good friend, Dave Ellis, who joins my show probably on a monthly basis, the NCAA probably won't go to that theory of a second Division I because the NCAA already eliminated Division II in college hockey. So I think that's stuck in let's just say that's stuck in the Sioux Locks in the middle of winter. But it's unfortunate because college hockey is an amazing game, and I can go back to Providence probably 7-8 years ago as a 16. No one gave them a snowball chance when you know what.
Yeah.
And they went flying. In college hockey, you got to win 4 games to win a title.
Yeah.
Or 3. Once you get in that, the regionals aren't that demanding. You're not stuck in hotels for 4 or 5 nights at a time.
Yeah.
But unless your heavyweights are going to find a way to be there every year, probably just with the dollar signs. And I mean, it's something that's, and again, I agree with you, Lou. I think this is what it is. I think it's going to get worse before better. I didn't see this coming down today. Did you?
No, I didn't.
I got no hint of this, and that was even in the process.
No, I didn't either. It like I said, it came across. I know they were meeting, but there was some ruling in West Virginia that you kind of thought, well, maybe in the back burner it may happen, but it's you hear this talk of like a super. For football, going to a 70-team conference, but whatever, Right. But hey, let's talk about something good on the college scene. You went to the Frozen Four this weekend in Minneapolis. It's such a great event. You've been to more than a handful of them. Denver won their 10th national championship, and it was kind of nice to see them, take both Boston teams down. and they prove that they're the best right now in the country.
Well, I was fortunate, and I've been to, I think, 9 or 10 of these. I usually go to the Saturday game. I know years ago I go in the Frozen Four is Friday, Saturday in the Midwest, and the Thursday, Saturday I kind of got off that. Now I've got people on scene, but now today's where we got to go online to get tickets. And let's just say after the Thursday semis, ticket price dropped dramatically. But yeah, St. Paul is a phenomenal host. I mean, it was 18,000+ people there Saturday. And going back to the transfer portal, look at Denver, and a point you made, here they're coming in. Boston University in overtime. Boston College, I don't want to say they suffocated them defensively, but they did. But what a performance by David Carl and his Pioneers. And when you watch them firsthand up close, I was 5 or 6 rows behind the Denver bench, and I analyzed the game. The structure they play is unbelievable. The emotion and the passion that team plays with is second to none. And I when I walked out, it's like when you walk out of one of these things, I compare it to a Springsteen concert, sort of say. You get back to your room and you say, what in the heck did I just see? That was unbelievable. And it was a pleasure, and it's whoever has not been to a Frozen Four, even if you don't like hockey, put it on your bucket list.
Yeah.
It's in St. Louis next year. I mean, it's a spectacular event, Lou.
Well, I know it's coming to Detroit, I think in 2 or 3 years, 26 maybe. And it's definitely, I'm going to that one for sure. And I just may have to make a trip to St. Louis. Heck, I might as well stay there for the whole month of March because I'm going to be there for the ACHA finals next year. I'll find someone to bunk down with for a couple of weeks and then go to the Frozen Four. But yeah, now you've said you've been to 9 or 10 of them. And I know you and I have talked, I think we're in agreement on our favorite one was 91 when Northern Michigan won that 8-7 triple overtime affair. Remember?
Right.
I can remember that as if it was yesterday.
Well, talking with Greg Pond, a good friend of ours, Ponzi, he was there. It was in the old building with the clear boards. Me and my friend went down. We were sitting at the end of the ice. These are good seats or bad seats. We're right on the goal line, halfway up. In that game, I had 15 goals. 14 of the goals were on one end of the ice. And Northern beat Boston College, Tony Amante, Jackie, or Boston University, Amante, Jackie Parker. It was a phenomenal event. Rick Conley, Billy Pye, Walt Kyle, Scott Beatty. It was phenomenal to watch that. And you realize that stretch in that 3-year window, 3 UP teams won national championships. Northern Lake State, Northern and Lake State.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people don't remember that, but that was a magical time in hockey, and I had the pleasure to see all 3 of them, Lou.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I can remember watching the game. I was at a local watering hole up in Munising watching that Northern game, and I think what time did it get over? About 1:30, I think it was. And it just, I'll never forget it. It was one of my favorite games that I've watched of all time. And yeah, it's an exciting experience. And, it's just like you said, you gotta experience it for yourself. You'll really enjoy it.
And I got to see one thing about this year's Frozen Four. The fan bases are great.
Yeah.
But the Boston College fan base, okay, I'm going to kind of be politer. East Coast, okay? they love their team.
Yeah.
But, capital B-U-T. Remember the Seinfeld series, Lou?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember Putty, who was a big New Jersey fan? He had his face painted and all that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, there was a couple sitting behind me.
Oh, no.
And I had a couple young Denver fans next to me. And I analyze the game.
Yeah.
The Denver fan is gravitating towards me, and me and him meet each other, and we tell us what, and then I'm telling him, they're going to do this. And he looks at me. You know what's going to happen before it happens. and then this guy behind me, he's got his face painted. The first thing I thought was Putty. He was miserable as you know what.
Oh, boy.
And his wife, I don't want to use, let's just say that was a high-class crowd, okay? Yeah. And this game is unfolding. I mean, he was getting more and more on edge, okay? He was getting out there. And then every time, and there were no penalties in that game till probably halfway through the second period. Once called on Boston College, and the cardiac arrest sets in. And anytime anyone hit anyone, it was a penalty. Anytime that's up there. And I'm sitting there, and I finally said, "Look, pal." I couldn't help it. I said, "Look." Every time someone he looked at me and he says, "Just be quiet already." And I tried to be nice and make conversation throughout the game, and then the first goal, and that all bets were off.
Yeah.
And he was hammering his seat, and he was miserable.
Oh.
And then the Denver kid is next to me, and we're having a good dialogue. I said, "Watch, you're going to get the next one." 5 minutes later, you get the next one, and he's just, that was a terror. It was offside. And then he's yelling at these Denver fans in front of me. I said, "Pal," I said, "it's just," and he got, I mean, we're talking 50 plus years old, Lou.
Yeah.
His paint was melting off his face.
Oh my gosh.
I'm serious. He had it on thick. I mean, the B and the C on one side and the other with the blue, with the gold and with the gold and maroon paint. And
boy.
And his wife just wasn't saying nothing. And his wife started to say, she started to talk to me, "What do you think of that goal?" It was a nice goal. I mean, this is a nice hockey team.
Yeah.
And this guy just sculling at his wife then.
Oh boy, the passion.
Probably 5-6 minutes left in the game. Now every hit's a penalty.
Oh yeah.
Every hit. I mean, and then finally a Boston College hit a Denver guy. "I should be a penalty, double minor." He tapped me on my shoulder. "Why don't you leave or go back where you came from?"
Oh my God. Wow.
I mean, he got out of line. His wife got up and apologized to me for his behavior. He started to argue with his wife.
Oh boy.
And I said, "Pal, this is just a game. I didn't sign up for this." Then he said, "What do you know about hockey?"
Oh boy. Oh.
I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "I know more about hockey than you know by accident.
Yeah.
I just don't have all the money you have."
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that, Lou.
Well, you know.
He got up and stomped up to the corridor. His wife goes up and follows him.
Oh,
and
that's
she
funny.
comes back and apologizes again.
That must have been a heck of a night spent in their motel room afterwards, I'll bet, huh?
And I guess what I'm trying to say, I can see the passion in being upset.
Yeah.
But I said, "Hey, look, this is just a game. This isn't life or death."
Well,
you think 20% of this Boston College team is going to care what happened tonight? And the next days later, 3 or 4 of them are signing pro contracts.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But again, I get the passion, I get the commitment, but okay, this isn't that important in the big scheme of things when you've been through a lot in life. Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Well, he'll probably be the same guy. We'll probably see him this weekend in TD Watermark or whatever they call that garden when they take on the Maple Leafs in the opening game of their series. He'll probably be.
Well, I hope he paints his face.
It'll be painted with the black B on it. Oh, wow. You know, speaking of hockey, the Red Wings fell just short, and we're 24, almost 24 hours after. And Jim, I'm a Red Wings fan, but I'm not one of the fans that are disappointed. Coming into this year, all I wanted, I would have loved to see them get into the playoffs. I think that experience would be great, but they've improved over last year. It's obvious that they have a goaltending need, if nothing else. And because Lyon wasn't it down the stretch. He won the other night, but it was, they were lucky. Let's be honest. I thought they improved. I don't buy the talk of getting rid of Lalone and, what are they going to do? Start over again? I think they're close. They're young and they've got some great talent in Grand Rapids, but that slide in March is what cost them,
Well, is there truth to this talk about Lalone, Lou? Is that what you're picking up down in Detroit within the organization, or just talking heads?
I think it's just talking heads. I'm
trying to split that up here.
I think that's just talking heads. I think rumors are started. Who knows? I mean, Elliot Friedman said something about it, but he probably gets his information from somebody in Detroit, and I don't blame him. I mean, if he hears that,
Freeman's
you're going to
right,
run,
yeah. Now Freeman's in tight. He knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
I love Elliot Friedman.
I do too. I don't blame him at all. But who are they going to get? I mean, they're going to go after Bilesma. I mean, or I don't know. I think they're close. And they've got, like I said, they've got that real good young goaltender in Grand Rapids, Kosa. I think he'll probably make the parent club next year. And Edmondson, he's got some experience. I don't know. I think they're dang close. Now, I don't know if they'll sign Kane next year. I think he may go back to Chicago, but I think the future's bright. I mean, for those that thought Detroit was going to make a lot of noise in the Stanley Cup playoffs, they're crazy. But, what have you done for me lately, I guess?
Well, my opinion here is Steve Yzerman, okay?
Yeah.
After he left Pittsburgh, 5 years later, they were winning trophies left and right.
Mm-hmm.
5 years after in Detroit, they're golfing.
Yeah.
Now, I think, or 5 years after he left,
left Tampa.
Left Tampa. I think I said Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
My opinion, I don't know who's up above Yzerman if he's making up, but they continue, even this last year in the off season, to get players well beyond their prime. Petrie, for instance.
Yeah,
their defense is brutal.
Oh, that's what cost them. Yeah.
And I have fun with Red Wing fans up here, but it's all in fun. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have two goaltenders, you don't have one. Again, my second opinion. But you picked up Petrie, you picked up the Shabbat, whatever this guy's name is, and keep in mind, you won 2 dramatic games against Montreal, but people keep forgetting Montreal is one of the worst teams in the league. You should beat them.
Jimmy,
you lost those 6-7 games.
Yeah.
But I could go back to these moves they made over the years, picking up, and these players are picking up. Some of these players they picked up over the last 10 or 15 years are future or potential Hall of Fame players, but their best days are behind them. But it's like the baseball team. You keep grabbing these guys who, it's going to put a big marquee name on your program. There's nothing left on the tire, Lou. There's nothing left.
Yeah, and I honestly think I got thinking about it when they had that slide there in March. How many games did Detroit win with comebacks in the third period and into overtime? And sooner or later, that's going to bite you in the ass, and it did. And you can't always rely on that. And they were benefit. They got the benefit last night of about the weakest icing call I think I've ever seen. It was funny, Jimmy, because I was watching the Philadelphia and Washington feed on my phone on ESPN Plus last night. I was watching the Philly broadcast, and those guys were talking, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I just saw the highlight." He said, "You talk about alligator legs and alligator arms going down to go after that puck," and it turned out to benefit Detroit. I laughed, and but like I said, at least for Detroit, and I know it's very small consolation, but they're in it. They were in it this weekend, and I still think they're a year or two away. But you're right; they got to start playing the youngsters. They've got the young talent with Raymond to put around a guy like Raymond and Larkin. Larkin's this is going to be his 9th year next year, Jimmy. Who knows how many he's got left? And I think they've got the young talent coming up. They just got to start playing them. And I think when they start doing that, to your point, I think they'll be better off.
Well, young talent is good in the minors, but usually we got to see what happens in the big leagues. But, and I would assume Kane's gone. I don't think.
Yeah.
Even if they offer him something, I don't think he's going to stay there. He's
I don't either.
Go to a team because he doesn't have much left. I mean, and I would think he'll now with the good season he had in Detroit, I think he's going to get some lucrative offers from some contending teams.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as Detroit's going to offer him, but he will have a chance to play on a contending team. I almost said good team, but every team in the NHL is good. They're NHL players.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get some offers from some teams like a Florida maybe, who's picked up role players over the years and they're primed to make a run.
Yeah.
Or say like a Boston who's made a habit of grabbing. Okay, we're gonna grab this guy. He's at a pretty good price. He might have 1 or 2 years left. I just don't think he fits the Detroit mold going forward. And even if they offer him something, I think he's going to go somewhere, maybe for a little bit less, just for a chance to win one more cup. And let's face it, money is it doesn't mean so much after how much some of these guys have made, because they're competitors and they just want to get playing in April and May, basically.
Jimmy, this is my favorite round of the NHL playoffs. Every year, and we've got some great matchups. We got Boston and Toronto, Florida and Tampa. It looks like Winnipeg and Colorado. The Blue Shirts and the Capitals. I mean, there's some good, fun matchups to look forward to. And every year I say it, this is my favorite round of the NHL playoffs, because this is where you might get a couple of upsets, but you usually get more 6 and 7 game series. I'm really, the Red Wings aren't in it, but I'm really looking forward to this opening round of the playoffs.
Well, it's kind of like the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to have upsets, it's going to happen now. It's not going to happen later. And I'm glad you said how you're a Red Wing fan, but watch the playoffs.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, Lou. Maybe not, even down your way, possibly. And this is kind of my jokingly pet peeve. When your favorite team is eliminated from the playoffs, it's amazing how many hockey fans don't realize the Stanley Cup playoffs if your team isn't in it. This is the best 2-month TV series in the world.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. My team's not in it. Are you kidding me?
Nah.
That's the separation between fans/spectators.
Yep. Great point. Great point.
Well, I don't care. My team's not in it. I'm a Buffalo Sabre fan, Lou, and we got the longest playoff route in the freaking world, I think.
I didn't want to bring that up, but okay.
But 13 years in running, it's not getting any better. Small market, we're done.
Yeah.
It's like small college teams, we're done. We don't have a snowball's chance, Lou.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Even last night, talking to some people, wow, they're good with that. If they don't get it, I don't care. Are you serious?
Oh, I know.
Greatest game in the world, and your team isn't in it. You're not going to watch the best 2 months on TV in any series, including Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's the best type of playoffs. Sudden death. I mean, it is end to end. I just can't wait. I know there's a couple of days left of the regular season, and I think there's I think there's the out west. It's either the Golden Knights or the Kings getting the third spot, and then the other one goes into the wild card. But I can't wait for it. Jimmy, we got a few minutes left with you. I wanted to kind of switch over to the Diamond. I'm sure you saw the other day we lost an old, a fun manager, and Whitey Herzog, Whitey Ball. He didn't start out so good as a manager of the Angels, but man, those rivalries, those years with the Yankees in the late 70s, Kansas City was always good. And then he finally was able to get a World Series with the Cardinals. But man, the last of the old guard, I think. He had such fun teams in Kansas City and in St. Louis.
Well, I think his nickname was a White Rat.
Yeah.
And he wasn't one of the buddy groups with the managers. What I see one story. Potbelly, cigar smoking, crew cut manager. He threw caution to the wind. He introduced the Cardinals at a fast game at Busch Stadium on the carpet.
Yeah.
And you think of those teams he had.
Oh.
I mean, Tommy Hurry. I mean, I go on and on. The speed in those games. Remember the Show Me series with them in Kansas City?
Oh boy. That was
and
great.
Then he would always get late in the game. He'd hand it off to his bullpen.
Yeah.
He didn't know half the time who he's calling in was by committee. And I agree with you. He's probably one of the last old school guys, and he bucked the system. He didn't care what anyone said about him. Because cigar smoking, potbelly,
crew cut,
crew cut. no buddy managerial system.
Yeah.
He just flew off the cuff, and
Boy.
he loved it. And yeah, him coming out of that dugout, and you knew he's coming out with.
Oh boy,
it's fun to watch. But I remember mostly the Kansas City St. Louis World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, remember when the Tarp ate up Hal McRae for
Yep.
Who was the player? Was it Hal McRae or I'm missing the guy when the Tarp ate up somebody in Kansas City?
Oh, that was
Bake McBride. Who was that?
Well, remember when Vince Coleman got caught in that tarp roller?
Yeah, Vince Coleman.
That's who it was.
Right.
And can you imagine? Check this out. How about sitting at a round table having an adult beverage with Whitey Herzog, Gene Mock, Sparky Anderson, guys like that. Oh my, that would be heaven. And now they're all up there smoking those big old cigars. But his style of game, Jimmy, wouldn't fly because pitching and speed and playing from first to third. That's a thing of the past now.
Well, Lou, could you imagine a student intern, what we have today?
Yeah.
With your high-end with your high-end GMs, up in the suites.
Yeah.
Having their high-end homemade root beer and their chicken wings, and nobody serves chicken wings anymore, folks.
Yeah.
Newsflash, they're winglets. Nobody serves chicken wings anymore. That's the biggest food controversy in the world, a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Tell me one restaurant who serves a chicken wing anymore, but they're charging twice the price when the chicken wings came up. But anyway, okay. You've got a young intern coming down from the suite, coming down the elevator, walking through the clubhouse, high-fiving people. No one wants a high five because he thinks he's a high school kid. He comes into the dugout and hands Whitey Herzog, here, this is what's his name upstairs wants you to start tonight. What would Whitey Herzog say to that young kid?
I can't repeat it.
No, exactly. I mean, Billy Martin. I mean, that's why I love Bruce Bochy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Bruce Bochy in San Francisco. He won a World Series title in Texas.
Yeah.
He goes with instinct, not analytics. I mean, this analytics stuff is just back to hockey. How many teams are going to sit there and do this stuff? We're going to play this guy, play that guy, play your 4 lines, your 6 defensemen, 1 goaltender. If you're good enough, you're going to win it.
Exactly. I agree.
No more, no less.
So now with the high school sports over for you, you get to breathe a little bit and watch a little Stanley Cup hockey. What else do you do in the summer, Jimmy?
Well, I still have my regular stuff with my accounts and whatnot, and I travel a little bit. Let's just say the last 3 weekends, I've seen John Mellencamp, I've seen Sticks, I've seen the Frozen Four. Now, unfortunately, my dear cat the other day had a tragedy. He's been diagnosed with diabetes of all things, so now that changed my schedule a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just take it easy and relax, and I'm looking at retirement probably in another year and a half, I think. And I still have I'll still be involved in sports along the line with some podcasts and whatnot, but I'm near the end, Lou, instead at the beginning, which is pretty cool.
Well, it's I know what you mean to the world of high school hockey here in the state of Michigan, and that can't go without being recognized. And it's always great to see. One of these times when I'm not in St. Louis for the state finals for hockey, I'm going to make it over to Plymouth. But next year, when you're down here for that, what is the Trenton Showcase? Do you come down for that? Yep. I'm definitely going to make it over for that. And, this is always a pleasure getting a chance to catch up with you and talking sports. So before you go, give me your Jimmy the Greek early Stanley Cup prediction for this year.
God, you put me on the spot.
Well, yeah, man, of course.
Well, there's always one uninvited guest to this thing. And,
yep.
And I'm looking at the matchup in the East, Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, Rangers, Washington, Carolina at the Islanders. In the West, I think we got Dallas, Vegas, Winnipeg, Colorado, Vancouver, Nashville, Edmonton at the LA Kings. I mean, my darkest a dark horse, and I don't think they're going to do it as Tampa. This is their last run at the Cup.
Okay.
That team's going to dismantle.
Well.
And when in the West, I just Nashville is good, but I think Colorado is going to make a bounce back.
Yeah, I do too.
In the East, if I had to grab one team, I'm going to grab 2 teams that are going to make a pretty good run. Florida and Carolina. I'm not sold on Boston. They're at the end of the road. Rangers, their goaltending issues with Shesterkin, but they got quick in the background. Remember, Shesterkin got sent down for a couple of weeks this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at. My dark horse would be Tampa, and I think Florida and Carolina can make a run. And in the West, I love Colorado. Everybody loves Edmonton, the flavor of the week, Baskin-Robbins, I call them.
Yeah.
No goaltending. No goaltending. That's probably Carolina's issue.
Yeah.
Freddie Anderson's not going to win you a cup, but they could be my second dark horse.
There you go.
But in the East, I guess I'll go Florida, Colorado in the finals, and Florida winning it. Where I'll go.
We got a viewer that just asked me. I put it on. Kevin Wilson says, "What about the Stars going to take the cup? How does Dallas win that division every year? It just seems like they do it with smoke and mirrors. Maybe I don't watch them well enough. You know?
Well, it's a division that's winnable, and Dallas is a good team, but they're just not deep enough. And I hate to use the word soft, but I don't think they're tough enough to go, to win 4 rounds. And they'll make a good run, but I'm just not totally sold on them.
I'm with you on Colorado. I think they're going to have a bounce back year. I think they're going to make a deep run. In the East, man, I just don't know. I agree with you. There's always an upset.
Oh yeah.
And I've got a lot of friends that are Toronto Maple Leaf fans, and I would love for them to have a taste of it, but they always find a way to, crap the bed somewhere along the line. And
right.
they I don't even know if they can get past Boston this year, but who knows? I don't know. I think it might be Florida. I'd have to go with Florida too. I really do. I think they're deep. I think they've got good goaltending. And, I know that when they played Detroit, I know it was a while back, a couple of weeks ago or whatever it was, they just looked so sound fundamentally from top to bottom. And you need that in Stanley Cup, man.
You made a good point, top to bottom. And you're looking at them, and the Rangers pass them to win the President's Cup. Well, Florida, I mean, that first or second seed doesn't mean much in the playoffs.
No.
But trust me, if Florida want to put their foot, but the moves they made at the deadline, they got so much deeper.
Yeah.
They got Bobrovsky, but at the end of the day, Lou, as we've seen, whoever gets the hot goaltenders, you're gonna ride them. But I just think top to bottom, they're top 4 and 6 solid defensemen.
Yeah.
But there's always in Toronto, and first off, when's Bettman going to get his head out of his back end? Seed these teams 1 through 8.
Yeah, I agree.
These seedings are absolutely ridiculous.
I agree.
1 through 8.
Yeah.
I take the whole playoffs 1 through 16, not the conferences.
Well, I remember when they used to do that. I wouldn't mind that either.
I mean, it just, when you look at some of these matchups, you look at them, they're high-end matchups that we potentially, if you went 1 through 16 or 1 through 8 in divisions, these are conference final matchups in the first round.
Oh, I know it, and it's unfortunate.
I mean, but again, it's. And I don't get the logic. I know every year when the playoffs are over, people yell about it, and 3 weeks later, having Mai Tais in Hawaii, they forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
But come on, it doesn't make any sense.
I love hockey just like you, and sometimes you wonder how Gary Bettman's been the commissioner for 35 years or however long it's been, but. These owners the owners are making money. I don't care what they say. If they weren't, he'd be gone. He'd be gone. So, all right, Jimmy, this has been fun. I appreciate you sticking around a little extra time. I told you a half hour. It's been 40 minutes. I appreciate it.
All right.
And one last thing. I see one last thing before you go. I see the Coyotes are finally leaving. They're going to Salt Lake City. I guess I don't mind that. I'd rather have them there than going to Atlanta.
Well, that's only about 6 years too late. How many fraudulent tax charges they have? Buildings are going to build that aren't built, and how many people they get stuck with money, though?
Yeah, right.
A good friend of mine who's moving back to the UP, Joe Palmer, who kind of put together the Arizona college team when he went out there as an intern, and they say it's a carnival there, but it's way overdue. And again, another thing that the NHL dropped the ball on.
I agree.
And the Utah experiment, we'll see how that goes. There's money there, I guess, but way overdue. And you feel bad for the players and their families. over the last 5-6 years because they know they're lame duck. They had some good players there over the years.
Boy, they did. They sure did. You know, Shane Doan was one of my favorites down there, and I think for a lot of people too. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. All right, Jimmy, thanks again for coming on. You know, it's been a pleasure, and you know, we'll get you on again real soon. It won't be so long till you're back on next time. How's that sound?
All right, Lou, and just a reminder, if you don't mind, for your listeners out there, you want to hear Peeking Inside the Grapevine every Tuesday and Thursday, where the good captain's on with me.
Yeah.
Go on the mix93.com. It's on all the other gadgets, Spotify and radio, whatever them things are, you know. Tomorrow I have the good Professor Bill Spro on, and he's going to have it. And the good Professor Bill Spro, he's wrote books about Michigan Tech athletics. He's a phenomenal person. Just Google William Spro. It's a phenomenal person. He's going to share UP wrestlers who participate in All-Star Wrestling over the years.
Wow.
He's got some good archives out there. Tuesday, I'm going to have Micah Stippets, the head coach of the Team Michigan junior hockey team, and he's also the head coach of the Holton High School hockey team. Shamba Leeser is going to be with me in a couple of weeks from State Champs Network. I've had Johnny Kane on from Belly Sports a handful of times. I think he's scheduled in a few weeks. So if you're interested, go on the mix93.com every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 8:40. And let's just say it's fun like this, but we don't go as far on the edge, but we go on the edge, okay?
Yeah, no, it is really good. I will vouch for that. Always enjoy going on there. Can't wait to do it again. Jimmy,
we'll get you back, and we'll get you back after the first round of the playoffs. Sound good, Lou?
That sounds fantastic. I look forward to it. As you like to say, have your guy get in touch with my guy.
Oh, yeah, and we just did it, Lou.
All right, you got it, brother. All right, Jimmy, have a good rest of your night and have a good week and enjoy the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Hey, love you, Captain. Thanks
love you too, buddy.
Me, man.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. Jimmy Young, the voice of WKMJ, peeking in the grapevine every Tuesday and Thursday, as he mentioned. And I got to tell you, you've got to take a listen to that. Mix 93.5. You follow him on Facebook, Jimmy Young. He always posts that. And some great shows, and he's get some wonderful guests. If you like hockey, that is the place to go every Tuesday and Thursday. They've got a lot of great things on there. And we want to thank Jimmy for his time. Great insight as always when he's on the show. All right, we're going to step aside, take a break, and kind of go over a little bit of what we talked about here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We'll be right back. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and it's live right here on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube.
Do you need tickets? We have you covered. We have soccer from anywhere in the world. Any venue from any sports. That means we have college and professional football. We have baseball at every level. We have every Power 5 matchup. Remember, costumes and paints are optional. You want to see Broadway? We have them too. We have every concert from every artist. We have you covered at tickets.12ouncesports.com. Tickets for less.
Yes, we do have you covered at tickets.12ouncesports.com. We talked about it at the top of the show. The Stanley Cup playoffs starting this weekend. Some unbelievable matchups in the opening round. We talked about it: Boston, Toronto, Washington, and the Blue Shirts, New York Rangers, Florida and Tampa Bay, Carolina and the Islanders. That's just in the Eastern Conference. Out West, I know there's still one position that's up for grabs. Well, all the playoff spots are taken. Now it's just a little jockeying for position as far as in the Pacific Division. Between the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, I believe that could flip-flop. But tickets.12ouncesports.com, that's the place to go to get your seat for the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. If you like the NBA, they've got their tournament started, their playoffs starting this weekend as well, or maybe next week. Actually, I think it does start this weekend. I know one of the matchups is LA and Denver. You like minor league baseball, major league baseball, whatever, UFL, we are your source for all those tickets. That is tickets.12ouncesports.com. We are a ticket broker, so we don't charge the fees that some of these other places on the secondary market charge. So again, that's tickets.12ouncesports.com. And of course, brought to you as always by Javi Coffee. And again, go to javicoffee.com. They've been with us for about a year here now on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. If you like instant coffee or regular coffee and want to try instant, this is the way to go. You don't have the mess of the coffee grounds or anything. A couple of teaspoons, maybe a tablespoon, depending on how strong you like it. Iced coffee, hot coffee, whatever. Got regular decaf, Irish cream. They've got salted caramel, French vanilla. That's my go-to. That's javicoffee.com. But don't just take my word for it. Check it out for yourself, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And when you get there and you go to checkout, make sure you use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. That is javicoffee.com. It's that simple to use. I highly recommend it. So, again, thanks to Jimmy Young, Jimmy the Greek, if you will, host of Peeking in the Grapevine every Tuesday and Thursday. He's on Mix 93.5. up in Houghton, Michigan, WKMJ. He is the voice of high school sports up in the Upper Peninsula. He's been doing it for a long time. The state of Michigan high school hockey. He is definitely the voice and the man to go to for all the hockey information in the state of Michigan. And some great insight on the college brand. We talked about it at the top of the show. Again, some of the things that are going on just before we came on the show, and we touched on it here on the program here tonight. The NCAA came out with a new rule where it's instant transfer eligibility, which means that you can transfer tomorrow, and you don't have to sit out another year. You don't have to wait how it used to be in the past where you'd have to sit out a year for eligibility. You can transfer as many times as you want now. If you don't play as much as you think you might deserve to be playing, boom, you can leave. You know, if somebody's too hard on you, like Tom Izzo or Bobby Hurley or Danny Hurley or whatever Hurley, any coach, if there's a personality conflict, boom, you can leave. Now, you can't transfer in the middle of the year and then play like in the second semester. You can only do it once per year. At least that's how it is now. But who knows if that'll change? But that was instituted a couple of hours ago. That came down. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that affects college sports. Not really looking forward to that. It's just, without sounding like the old man, get off my lawn kind of a thing. It's just, it's just a different world now with NIL. These kids making, millions of dollars. I'm all about a kid making, a decent wage. And if they're making money off of him, I get it. But it's just a whole different animal now where you're getting kids making tens of millions of dollars throughout their collegiate career. And it's going to be now where you're going to have one particular donor buying a whole team if they're not already doing that in basketball. Yeah, it's going to drive some good college coaches out. Some of the guys that have been there a while. We mentioned, Jimmy and I talked about a guy like Tom Izzo, great coach. He's been at Michigan State, 28 years, 27 years. And now he goes into a recruit's house, if he even does that anymore. I mean, is it worth it? They don't ask about academics or whatever. The first thing out of these parents' mouth now is, how much are you going to pay me? Where do I go to get money? And it's just a different beast out there. And again, the way the transfer portal is, loyalty it's just not what it used to be. And I get it. Coaches have been able to get away with it forever. I understand that. Contracts for coaches in college and, NFL, whatever, those are a joke. It's an oxymoron. There's no way that you get buyouts, whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely a different world. And I don't think it's for the better, but it's just, you cheer for your favorite team. And if you're an alum or a fan of a school like Central Michigan, or we were talking about it in hockey with these smaller schools like Northern and Michigan Tech and whatnot, you you better catch lightning in a bottle and win one with a boatload of talent right away, because if they're halfway decent, they're gone. They're not going to stay, especially if they think they've got NHL talent or, AHL talent. They're not going to stay. And it's too bad. But that's the way of the world right now in the world of college athletics. And with this, it really does hurt. And I just don't think it's something for the better. It's definitely a different world where the athletes may have a little more control where they're going, and that's fine. But, if their feelings get hurt, they can quit. The going gets tough. The tough get going. They get going all right out the door. And that's unfortunate. But I think that's where we're headed with college athletics. So, and as we talked about the NHL playoffs starting to take shape, the Red Wings, they win last night against Montreal. They win back-to-back games in heart-stopping fashion, winning Monday night in Detroit with a goal to tie it up with 25 seconds left. And then last night, getting that goal from Perron with 3 seconds left to go into overtime, winning it in a shootout. But they knew going into the shootout last night that Washington had won, so their season was over. And you could tell when Patrick Kane got the shootout winner, there was no excitement. You could tell, and everybody was gutted by that. So close, ever so close. And I put it on Facebook last night about Philadelphia. If it was tied going into the third period, they had to win in regulation. So you knew they were going to pull the goaltender, and that's how Washington won, getting an empty net goal with a little under 3 minutes left to go. But they had to do it. I don't blame Philadelphia for doing it. They had to get that goal in regulation time, and they didn't. So they end up losing to Washington 2-1. I hoped amongst hopes that they could pull it off and get the tying goal, and then win it in overtime. But nope. So Washington goes. Detroit had their chances, and there's a lot of scuttlebutt in the Detroit area. I'm torn. I wanted Detroit to go to the playoffs, but they did improve. Yeah, maybe I'm looking at it with the glass half full, my Pollyanna optimism, whatever you want to call it. But indeed, I thought that they did well. I think they're a year away. I really do. I believe next year they are going to make the playoffs. They've got a good core of talent. Are they going to keep Patrick Kane? I doubt it. I agree with Jimmy. I think he's going to go to a contender, or maybe finish out his career back in Chicago, play with Connor Bedard. I don't know. We'll see. But the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs start this weekend, the NBA playoffs as well. And there's going to be some great opening round matchups in the NHL. We talked about it: Boston, Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay. Watch out for Tampa Bay. I think they could be a sleeper, like Jimmy said. Vasilevsky, he gets hot. Watch out. I think they're going to be very, very good. All right, that's going to do it here for another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We'll be back next Wednesday with more NHL talk and whatever else is going on in the world of sports. I want to thank Jimmy Young from WKMJ, Mix 93.5 in Houghton, Michigan. Check him out every Tuesday and Thursday, Peeking in the Grapevine. And that's his portion of that show where they talk sports history. 8:30 Eastern time. Make sure you check them out, and I want to thank him for coming on the show. And I want to thank you, the viewer, for taking your time out tonight to watch us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We're available on YouTube, on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network. You can watch the replay anytime you want right here. That's the Captain Lou Extravaganza. All right, that's going to do it. Enjoy the hockey this weekend, the NBA playoffs, if that's your thing. Major League Baseball, the UFL, whatever. We've got a lot going on, as always, in the world of sports. Also, next week, we'll preview the NFL draft. It's coming up next weekend in Detroit City, and can't wait for that. Football is definitely a 12-month-a-year sport now. All right, everybody, this reminder: keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Thanks for joining us tonight here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network. So long.